Welcome to the Wally Show precast. I'm Brad from Southwest Florida, and I have a little joke for you. Wally got a call from his boss, and his boss asked him, "Wally, you're funny. Tell me one of your jokes." Wally replied, "Not now. I'm busy working." His boss says, "That's a great one." Well, on to the show.
All right, we said you could say anything to introduce the show. I guess that would count.
That's a good joke.
Nice job, Brad. All right, so if you want to introduce the show, you can do that. Just download the Way FM app there, and you can leave us a message.
Yeah, just use hashtag potty so we can find it.
All right, yeah, we got a bunch of these, too. That's
we do.
Awesome. We're going to have a shorter precast today because I want to talk about some stuff in postcast, but I don't want to waste it where you haven't heard the whole segment yet from the regular show. But one other thing we were talking about, this didn't happen on the show at all, but I was being judged by some of the people in the room here, namely Becca and Zach. Betty wasn't here, and I'm kind of judging myself a little bit. I don't know, I'm kind of walking through this, but my wife had texted me, said, "Hey, we have some friends, that are going through something or whatever." And she's like, "Well, just let them know that you're praying for them today." And I'm like, "Well, how can you say that? Like, you don't know that I'm praying for them or not praying for them." And in this case, I was not, and because I didn't even know what was going on.
And you don't care about this person.
Well, and that's not that. It's just not. It's not a prayer. It's not like a dire situation. So to me, it wasn't like a prayer thing. Like, oh, I got to get in and pray on this. It's like them going through a normal life situation, like we all have gone through, And so I didn't think much about it. But it is that thing of like, my wife is tuned in like that more than I am. Like, I don't think I'm wired that way. And maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know. Zach, are you a better person than me? Or like,
I mean,
you have the same friends in the same exact situation. Had you thought about, I need to pray for them today?
Yeah, a little bit.
Did you? God, why do you say that?
But honestly, I thought less about praying for them and more about, I wonder if there's anything they need. I wonder if there's anything I can think of that I can help with that would, just show that we're here and support them. I wonder if they have family in town that are helping them or church family. I didn't do anything. Yeah. I just thought those things.
Good.
Yeah, step above you.
Yeah, I don't believe that until
I do.
No,
I do because I think Zach is very big on community. Mm-hmm. I don't think that it's obvious because it's not like he's this super outgoing person, but I think he's big on community, and I think he knows that importance. So I think that he would want to make sure that they had community taking care of them. And I think if he knew that there was no community taking care of them, he would step up and do that.
Yeah, because I've been through things and I've had community that helped out and were a big part in that. So I understand the importance of it. And, now that I know the importance, I feel like I have to do something.
Maybe it comes down to that you just don't think that when someone tells you they're praying for you, that doesn't mean anything to you. Maybe that's what it is?
There is a little bit of that, honestly. Like when someone, unless it's somebody that knows me and they know something that I'm really struggling with or whatever, then that does matter to me. But like if it's something that's not like a giant deal or whatever, and goes, "Oh, we're praying for you," and it feels like a throwaway or it feels like the least you can do, then yeah, I do like, "Oh, okay, thanks." But I
do think you leave it to yourself to decide if what that person is going through is a giant deal.
100%.
So even if it is a huge deal to them and they tell people it's a giant deal to them, if in your judgment it's not, you discount it all and throw it away.
That's 100%. Very true. Yeah.
But I think we all do that to some degree. You can watch somebody go through something that you go, "Oh, that's not a big deal," and so you don't get involved. Versus the other, because if that's the case, everybody's little minor thing you would have to get involved with on some level if you feel that way.
If you're in a relationship with them and they're telling you it's a big deal or they're nervous or they're, I don't think you can discount that.
Even if it really isn't a big deal and that's what you think and that's what you feel like like I have this rule that all feelings are valid. So even if it's the craziest thing in the world, even if this person is feeling stressed out about something that you do every day, like that's still a valid feeling that they're having. So you should reach out to them in their stress.
But my feeling that it's not like a big deal is valid as well.
Count.
See, exactly.
That's not a feeling. It's a judgment.
No,
though.
it's not. It's a feeling. I feel like it's not that big of a deal.
This is why you don't have friends.
Yeah, no, I have great friends. That's the thing. But like, I'm not in community like you guys. Like, I don't seek that out. Like, my community is my wife and my daughter. Like, because we've moved everywhere around the country. It's always been the three of us. Whether we had a bunch of people or not people, it's always been us. And I just kind of self-regulate. There are times, obviously, that you can't lift a treadmill upstairs yourself. So you need your neighbor to come over and help you.
Or there's times you're going to go through something that you can't just self-regulate as a small, close-knit group.
And that's entirely possible.
And you don't know when that's coming or if it's coming. other people are going through things too that they can't self-regulate and just be, self-dependent.
I have always liked your take on community. I don't subscribe to it because I don't practice it. But like your point, like when you went through all this stuff with Samuel, was like you were thankful that you had spent time in community. So then when you needed it, it was there for you already, and it wasn't like a manufactured thing.
Right, because like community is kind of like a shelter from the storm, and the time to build a shelter isn't when it's raining.
Right.
Because then you're that needy person that everyone's like, oh, I don't want to, like, because they don't already have that relationship.
Right.
That's why it's so important to have those relationships, have the shelter built so that when you're out and about and it starts pouring down, you can run to it and be, protected a little bit.
Right. And so to me, here's the other thing that feels and maybe this is just my own hang up, is that when somebody that you're not like really tight with, you see people, hey, how you doing, blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden it's like they're going through something and then you're like all into it. It feels like you're co-opting off of their thing, like, oh, you just want to look like you care in this moment versus, you wouldn't have treated them any different yesterday, so why all of a sudden now are you intentional in their lives or something like that, just because they're doing something that again is not a tragedy. Again, tragedy, I'm there, I'll help you out, I'll lift things, move things, whatever.
It's a big life event.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean it's a tragedy, but
right.
The first time you go through some of those things, it's a big event.
I guess that's where I'm like, yeah, that big event is like, especially this one that they're going through, where it's not a tragedy, is shareable with people that you are already doing life with, and
right.
not me, who's kind of a friend, but not like in your life.
And it does sound like they have a good community and good group of people around them already, so that's why I'm probably not driving up to bring them a lunch today or whatever.
Right, because my wife had suggested that, and so I texted them and I did say, hey, do you guys need anything? And if they said, hey, I need something, 100%, I'd go buy it, take it to them without hesitation, without question.
I remember, though, Zach, when he was going through the whole thing with Samuel, he did say that he liked it when someone would just step up and do something instead of asking.
Right, because when you tell someone, hey, let me know if there's anything I can do to help, you're putting the burden on them.
Right.
And suddenly it's when you're just just completely immersed in like this huge thing, to have extra weight on your shoulders is really hard. And you're not going to call someone and say, yeah, I really do need lunch today. You're never going to do that. But,
right.
So that's why
you'll go, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine, self-reliant, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That's why, just doing something is 1,000 times better.
I feel like you're overanalyzing all of this. Like you're making something, like you're doing something that me or Becca would do.
Oh, yeah, maybe so.
And then if we did that, you'd be like, oh, you're being such a girl.
Well, you are.
Or maybe you're feeling guilty and that's the work of the Lord in you.
No,
or maybe you don't feel like they're worth your prayers.
Maybe I'm just trying to fill a stupid podcast with some content because I didn't have anything else planned, all right? And I'm taking the hit. I look like a jerk.
No, because we've talked about this 20 minutes before the podcast.
Yeah, I know. I was prepping. It's prep time. That's how much I love the podcast.
You feel guilty. That's it.
I don't. I can honestly say I don't feel guilty. I can honestly say guilt is not an emotion that runs really deep inside of me. That or substance.
It's getting worse.
Yeah,
boy.
But the funny thing is about this is I have no problem. Like I say the things that no one should ever probably say. Like I have no problem being honest about this because it doesn't paint me in the best light at all. It makes me look like a jerk. But like it's,
and you're assuming the rest of us are not being honest. That we're just saying.
No,
what you're supposed to say.
I'm saying that my opinion is, or my take on this is not the popular take, probably not even the right take, but I don't steer away from that just because it's not popular. Like, so I say the things that I feel regardless of how they make me look, and it makes the show more interesting.
That's very respectful. Like,
right.
I wish I was more like that.
Yeah, I wish I would keep my mouth shut more. I'd probably get less emails. But part of this is like self-discovery too. That's why I'm asking the question. It's like I don't feel like, I feel like if I'm not around somebody and I'm not already treating that person like that on that level, I feel that to just start doing it, I feel, because of some situation, I feel disingenuous. And especially if it's my wife's idea, then I texted him, I said, hey, Marty was asking, would you need some help? And I'll be the fulfillment of that, but it was Marty's idea. Like, I don't want it to look like, oh, I'm thinking like I'm this great person now. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay.
And it is weird on Marty's part to ask you to be the intermediary.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. She's a bad person for wanting to help like this. But she's been more like talking about this couple for a while too. Like, hey, there are things we could do or this, that, or the other. So I have to honor that because I think God has maybe put something in her heart for them. But I think what struck me as weird was her texting me going, let him know you're praying for him. And I'm like, I haven't been. Like, I'm not going to tell someone I'm praying for them, and I haven't been. Like, that's wrong.
That's where I'm not honest enough, because I can just throw up some quick prayer
Big question.
and then cover my bases.
Big question.
And then everyone wins, and I don't have to waste 40 minutes talking about it.
Yeah, like, how does that happen? Like, we all get emails from people and stuff like that, and they're like, pray for me in this situation. And so I'm real careful with my wording back. So if I email somebody back and I say, hey, you'll be in my prayers, I legitimately mean it. Like, that's something that I'm going to take, when I'm praying, and it's going to be a focal point of that prayer and not just a throwaway. So if it hasn't hit me on that level where I feel like, oh man, I'm supposed to be in this, like, I just say, I'll email him something else back where I don't ever say that, because I do take it very seriously.
One thing I love is that we have our prayer wall at allwally.com, and so people can put their prayer requests, other people pray for them, and it's kind of just a cool community to do it that way. I have to be honest, I'm not the most amazing prayer warrior ever. Like, I get really distracted in my prayer. I don't always remember to pray for people, and so I will always email back, hey, I posted this anonymously, just the situation that you're going through, if that's all right with you, and other people will be praying for you, as you walk through this, because I know that we have some people who do listen, who check that and do pray on a regular basis.
I mean, that's one of the things I do love about doing this show, is that even when we're just sharing people's stories on the air, there are people I know that start praying for these people, and that's how they're wired. Like, that's a beautiful thing.
And I wish I could be like that.
Oh my gosh, yes, I wish you could be like that.
Of course,
yes. I mean, I wish I could be like that too. But I don't know that I'm wired that way. Maybe it's something I need to rewire in myself, or have God rewire in me. But I'm not like that.
I think prayer is obviously an important part of our faith, and it's something we're all called to do. I do think, though, there are parts of the body, the spiritual body, that are especially gifted for prayer.
Definitely.
And that's, I don't think we should feel guilty if that's not the part of the body we are.
Yeah, because I think God gives us all different gifts and different things that we do and provide. Because if we were all just praying, no one would get anything done either. Like, seriously.
Praying's getting nothing done.
Not always.
Interesting.
Think about it. All right, think about it for a second. If somebody has just had their foot cut off, okay? They're in an accident, you see them with their foot cut off, and you stop and you go, okay, Lord, I just really wish that this person's foot would just be healed right now and be taken care of, and you just stand there and do nothing while they bleed out. Like, I don't think that's beneficial. But some people are like, hey, I was born to take this belt off and make a tourniquet. I can do that. Oh, and by the way, God, thank you for giving me the thought to be able to do that, and the presence of mind and the confidence. Please be with this person and their family as they're working through something. Like, I think we have to have action. That's why God made us the hands and feet. We are the answer to people's prayers through Him, because I think that's how God works. He wants us to do that, because there's a blessing for us in that as well.
So maybe this couple is praying for someone to tell them that they're praying for them. And perhaps you are not answering the
Bring it
call.
back around, Betty.
Oh, wow. That was well played, Rock. Well played. I didn't see that one coming, to be honest with you.
It's all coming full circle.
Yeah. All right.
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you mentioned, we talked about the throwaway prayer, kind of.
Yes.
The concept of you just say a prayer real quickly,
right,
and move on. Do you think when we get to heaven, we'll find out that those had more effect or less effect than we think?
Less effect. I think God will be like, seriously, that's what you did when you could have taken more time to commune with me. He took prayer very seriously. Like when he was praying in the garden and he's bleeding, and the disciples are asleep. I think that God takes prayer way more seriously than we do. He talked about being alone when you do it, and he talked about the seriousness of it. He talked about the people that pray in front of people, they've already gotten their reward. So I think that us doing the least we could do on those, I think we're going to find a lot of things that we do are the least we could do.
Yeah, I do think it comes down to the heart, because he does talk, too, about pray without ceasing, like to have this constant dialogue with God. And so even though we see it, we might, feel shame that it's a throwaway thing. If it's part of an ongoing relationship, maybe he honors that.
It's just giving to someone who can do
think.
something with it. It's not just throwaway.
Yeah, now that's true. Like, if that's your lifestyle, like if you're doing it to appease everything with God comes down to the heart, in my opinion. If you're doing it to appease the situation so you can let that person know, I prayed for you today, and you literally went, dear Lord, thank you for this person, love them, be with them, amen. Like, I don't think that counts as much as then, like, if you're that person that lives in a constant attitude of prayer where you're just talking with God throughout the day about everything, then I think that that does carry weight because it's the heart. It's just another extension of who you already are and what your relationship already is in him. That's my take on it. But you know what? I think that's gonna have to do it for the precast.
Our quick precast.
Yeah, I know it's longer than I thought.
Wait a second.
Yeah,
What happened?
and with about 100% more judgment than usual. So we're gonna do the podcast now, and then I wanted to talk about something in the postcast, but I didn't want to talk about it before we got to it in the podcast. So listen for that when we talk about things that you struggle to believe about God. This is like a really heavy and like spiritual kind of podcast today.
We can be deep.
I know, every once in a while.
That should be our slogan. The Wally Show. We can be deep.
Yeah, not just the shallow end. This is the Wally Show, and if you've ever started off like doing something fun, but then it became more like a chore, then you'll know what Becca is experiencing for some reason. I'm not sure why this is so problematic for her. We decided to have a Project Runway challenge where Becca and I would each make something that Betty Rock would model, because Becca got a new sewing machine, wants to learn how to sew. I think I can do anything when I watch a YouTube video. So, all right, challenge accepted. Here we go. Why is this so not fun for you right now?
Well, I started out excited because I just got my sewing machine. I'm just learning to sew, but then you took it to this whole other level I wasn't expecting, and now it's this like competition, and you're making a dress suddenly when we agreed to make a skirt, and you're going above and beyond with all these fancy things, and you're talking about pleats and darts and all these things that I have no idea about, and all of a sudden it's just not fun for me because it's a competition.
But the thing is, like, I haven't been talking smack. I've been encouraging you, and like, it's like, I actually enjoyed part of this last night, like learning something new. Like, that's what it's about. It's like you're learning. If you learn how to read a pattern and do all that, it will change the way you sew. And so for me, I knew nothing. Like, I got a pattern. I thought it was going to be easier. That's why I went with this like dress thing. It's way, way stupid harder. And my wife sews, and she didn't know some of these things. So I'm watching YouTube videos. Like, we're on the same playing field. I just happen to know more terms because I watched Project Runway. You know, that's it. Like, we're at the same skill level.
But all of a sudden it took this fun thing that was supposed to be relaxing. I'm supposed to learn, and you're like, I can do it better.
Well,
watch this.
Yeah, I know. But
see,
that's what a competition is. At Project Runway, they don't all go, hey, this would be fun if we all win.
Not all of us.
Oh, that's right. You're a millennial.
No,
that's right.
That's not what it is.
Everyone gets a trophy.
That is not what it is at all.
I forgot.
That's not it. It's just turning. I don't like to compete. Okay, you might not know this about me. I actually have a very hard competitive side.
Right.
I, for a while, had to stop playing games with people. Like I just take I take things too far. I really do. And so I've worked on that in myself. I've tried to adjust that mentality. And so now we're taking something that I'm not good at, and we're turning it into a competition. I'm like, I can't win. I can't win. It's not fun.
But see, I'm not good at it either. That's the thing. Like, I just talk like I am. That's the key.
But you're making a dress now.
Fake it till you make it. That's how you do this life. That's how you do this job, you know? And then at the end, if it doesn't turn out right, yeah, I tried. But I think I think Betty's going to like mine. I think she'll like yours too, but yours is a different angle for her. It might challenge her a little bit, but that's what this is about.
Right.
Challenging her as well.
I couldn't necessarily see her wearing it,
right.
But I think it'll look cute on her, and then maybe we can like give it away to somebody who wants to wear it.
Are you excited about this at all, Rock?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Because you're going to be the model, but you're not going to be the deciding factor. We're going to let people vote on whose they think is the best garment. I don't even think it needs to be what looks best on Betty necessarily. It's like which one they like better, because they might like yours better.
I don't know. You're making a dress.
I know. I'm working hard, but I had to learn things. Again, I had to learn things I didn't know. I spent hours watching YouTube last night, and the funniest thing though is my daughter comes home from school, and I have the whole kitchen island is laid out with fabric, and I've got pattern pieces cut out, and I'm sitting there cutting and pinning things, and my daughter walks in the door and she goes, "Oh, you know what? No, it makes sense." like at first she was shocked, and then she doesn't get shocked by this kind of weirdness in my house anymore. So we'll find out next week who is going to win this thing when we finish. We have a few more days, and Betty Rock is going to look fabulous either way. I feel very confident in that statement.
She's winning in this thing no matter what.
Yeah, she might get an outfit she might actually wear, and we're expensing this to our boss. So I spent like $19 on fabric yesterday. It's cute, though.
You buy a dress for that.
That's the whole point. That's the thing. After doing this, why would anybody sew? There's no reason to, because it's not going to look any better than what you can buy for the exact same price with your Kohl's discount card. You know, like you're totally covered then. This is the Wally Show, and if you think, man, I've tried everything to lose weight, I don't think you've tried everything yet, because I just came across something that seems surprising that it actually works, but very difficult. There was a research study on weight loss, and they found that you could actually lose weight if you ate with a blindfold on. Yeah, I know.
I've heard of this.
No, you have not.
Yes, I have heard of this.
Really?
You blindfold yourself and you trick your brain into believing that you're not eating with your eyes. Instead, you're eating with... You stop when your stomach feels full.
You're absolutely right.
When you take the blindfold off, you realize, oh, I'm not even done. Like, there's plenty of food left over.
Yeah, because you can't find any of it. You're like stabbing yourself in the face with a fork and stuff. But yeah, that's the concept behind it. Is that they say you eat with your eyes first, so that's where you start getting hungry when you see how that's why they mess with presentation so much at like really nice restaurants like Crystal, and things like that. It's important.
Love me some Crystal.
Yeah.
This could actually work for me because I will eat anything that's in front of me.
That's the problem.
We got lunch yesterday, and it was these boxes, and it had like a sandwich and a fruit cup and a cookie and a bag of chips and some salad dressing. I don't know why the salad dressing was there, but I ate everything in that box, including the salad dressing.
By itself. She ate it like a Go-Gurt or a juice box.
And I wasn't that hungry.
I would like to point out, too, and I was going to say this to you off the air, but when we were in that meeting, I didn't realize I was a slow eater until I looked over and you were already done. And I wasn't even done with my sandwich and my potato chips. You eat fast, girl.
I was so excited. I was like, I got to eat this chicken sandwich and a cookie at the same time.
You had the fruit, you had the cookie, everything was gone. And I was still on my meal.
I had something in each hand the entire course of that meeting.
Yeah, it looked like a toddler, like at a restaurant eating for the first time. There's just food all around her on the floor. The waitress was like, "Oh, really?"
Yes.
So yeah, the idea though is that people blindfolded took in 9% fewer calories. They reported feeling full faster, and they had eaten. They felt like they had eaten 88% more than they had. So that goes to what you're saying, Betty. Like you feel full, but I can't imagine that that's like easy to do or something you could do all the time. So here's my theory on that, because like you, Becca, if it's in front of me, I'll have a tendency to eat it, and like I'll eat half of it, but then you always eat more.
Never happens.
Yeah, so I had to eat like half of my chips, put them away. I ate half of my cookie, put it away, close the box and put it away. So I think if you're out at a restaurant and you order something, go ahead and have the meal right there. Like, because I used to eat half my potatoes. I'd put a line in them and I'd eat half of them, and then they'd be sitting there and you'd still nibble at them. But take what you're going to take half the meal, ask for a to-go box, put it away instantly, and then put it off to the side, and then just eat what's on your plate. I think that will help you accomplish the same thing.
I feel like we need to have a science experiment.
Oh, really?
Let's try this out.
No, I'm really hungry today. I don't want to try this today, but it's a good idea for other days.
Facts and opinion. Which do you think there'll be more of?
You got that little smirk on your face and you think you're so clever.
It's the Wally Show News.
And Becca's going to get you caught up right now with what's going on. What you got?
One of the major platforms ISIS uses is the internet, since a lot of their recruiting is done through social media, whether that's recruiting to find more fighters or to inspire lone wolf attacks. So yesterday, the Obama administration assembled a high-tech dream team to help fight that online battle.
Really?
Yeah, so they had execs from Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, MTV, BuzzFeed, and Apple all in attendance to kind of talk about how they can fight ISIS online. And it's interesting that Apple was there. It might have been a little awkward since Apple is still in the midst of a battle with the FBI over unlocking terrorist cell phones.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's true. But they know how to do this stuff, so
right,
it's
exactly.
good that everybody's there. I would definitely not like a ISIS post on Facebook. I would click thumbs down to that.
Or the angry face.
Which is cool that you can do that now.
Yeah, I know. It's how great is that? We'll talk about that too, but I mean, there's a lot of advancements in Facebook that we can enjoy and maybe combat a little bit of terrorism at the same time.
So if we see something from ISIS, it's frowny face.
Yeah, for sure. That'll solve this whole problem.
Totally. Sometimes gift giving can be a little off target, like when one woman tried to surprise her boyfriend with a surprise trip to Disney World, and his reaction was a little less than what she had hoped for.
Oh, we're going to Disney?
For your birthday.
For my birthday? Why?
Because it's your birthday and you've never been.
Why?
We're broke.
And we're adults. We don't have kids. Why in the world would we do this? Is what he's thinking.
She had written it on this card, and it was clever and
it's
creative,
so
and he's
funny.
like, what is this?
That was not a gift for him.
No.
For the record, she has always wanted to go to Disney, and so she's like, we're going to Disney, and he's like, what?
That's going to be Haley someday. Haley's going to marry a guy that's never been to Disney, and she's going to be like, oh, well, we got to go.
She actually has that in her list of qualifications. If you ask her, she'll say he's got to love the Lord, he's got to love and treat me well, and he has to love Disney. Those are her.
Goodness.
Those are literally her top 3 for getting married.
So
Yeah.
this would not be the guy for her, for sure.
No.
And finally, there's a flight attendant whose mom was unfortunately diagnosed with lung cancer 2 years back. And ever since, she's had 3 items on her bucket list: see her daughter's house in Seattle, be a passenger on one of her daughter's flights, and see her daughter get married. So last Friday, they did all 3, crossed all 3 items off the bucket list. Yeah. The mom took her daughter's flight to her home in Seattle, and while they were in the air, they had a wedding ceremony.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of weird. Like, that, did she know the guy, or did she
Yes,
just?
of course. No.
Okay, I didn't know. I was like, I got picked out the guy in seat 4A.
Yes.
And, you know, hey, I, can you help me out? My mom's here.
I appreciate you put your tea table up without me asking, so, I think we'd be a good match.
Yeah, exactly. You're marrying kind.
Why are we wasting our time with these old people anyway?
You just call me old.
This is the Wally Show, and this is Famous Ages, where we try to stump each other with the ages of celebrities and well-known personalities, and sometimes very obscure ones from Zach and Betty. So Zach,
Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you try to get
No
real
idea.
tricky with this, and Betty just, I don't think, knows. So here's the deal. You need to be paying attention, because at the end of this, if you add up all the actual ages when we reveal them, you can win a prize. So there's something in it for you here. Who loves theirs today? Who's like, yeah, I got this. I got a good one.
I like
You got it,
mine.
Betty Rock? I
Oh,
like
yeah.
it.
Okay.
I like your enthusiasm. I'm going to start with Betty Rock today. Who are you putting up for submission here?
Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, that's a good one. Never heard of her. No.
Yeah, it's kind of obscure.
Kind of obscure.
Oh, please.
Let's throw that one out. Okay, Queen Elizabeth. Boy, she is old, I think. I always get them confused as a who's who over there. Like, I guess Princess Kate now is the young one.
Oh, okay. I had that reversed. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So.
Way to go, Wally.
All right, everybody get your guesses down. Queen Elizabeth. What do you got, Becca?
87.
87. Zach?
92.
Ooh, I picture her like my grandmother, but my grandmother's, I think, older than her. I went 89, and I'm thinking that's young. Betty Rock.
Okay, well, one of you is right on the dot.
Oh, I bet it's 92. What is it?
It's Wally with 89.
Oh, wow. All right.
I can't believe that. Okay,
Wow.
that never happens. All right, so that's one. Who is feeling good? Let's go with
I'll
Zach.
go with mine.
Let's go with Zach. What do you got?
This is inside of the Christian world more.
Oh, okay.
One Miss Johnny Erickson Tata.
Oh, you stinker.
Johnny Erickson
what
Tata.
does
We
he
actually just watched a video with her yesterday.
We were in that meeting all afternoon.
okay,
So you
okay,
guys have a huge advantage. You
I
just
know,
saw her.
I know. Okay,
But
okay.
she was paralyzed back in the day, and she's a quadriplegic and diving accident. Then she did like singing and painting and all kinds of cool ministry things.
Well,
Why are you counting on your fingers?
I'm doing math.
yeah, I
know,
Okay, the one
I know
divided
about
by
when
two.
she was injured, and I'm trying to figure out how old
well,
she would have
3,
been.
2, 1, we need your answer.
Okay, well, hang on a second.
No,
and
3, 2, 1. What's your answer?
What's your answer?
I'm not even thinking about
What's your
answers right now.
What's your answer?
I looked at somebody. Who was I? Oh, I think it was Joy was sitting next to me, and I'm like, I wonder if she ever because her name is Johnny Erickson Tata, and I wonder if she ever introduces herself as, "Hi, I'm Johnny Erickson Tada."
Ta-da! Yes.
Okay, so
What's your
everybody-
answer?
My answer would be.
What's your answer?
84,
Go.
9.
Oh,
good
my
night.
God. Come on.
You need it. No,
you never
need
give us
to not
this
do
much
math.
time. Answer.
66. That's my answer.
said
66.
62.
I said 66 as well, and I didn't have to take 8 minutes to do it.
I had to count on my fingers too.
Did you guys all cheat?
No,
She's 66.
Oh!
goodness, Wally is still at 0.
Well, I firmly believe Wally had looked her up.
Honest, truthful.
And then that's why he went so far into the theatrics of, I got to count up the ages and I know the years of this and that. And he's got it up in front of his computer, I'm
Honest, truthful. Because I think she was injured in 74, and so that's what I was counting, 74, 84, 94.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I believe you.
Thank you,
Totally
Rock.
believe
You're the
that.
best. I hate when people are this
I believe
ugly.
you were trying to kill time.
Yeah, that's very true. I don't think anyone's ever had 0 through 2 rounds. That's pretty amazing. All right, so now we're down to Becca's and mine. Let's go with Becca next.
I am going with Carrie Fisher
Carrie Fisher of Star Wars.
of Star
Carrie
Wars,
Fisher.
Princess
Okay.
Leia.
Carrie Fisher. Okay, everybody.
She was in the old Star Wars?
Yes, and in the new one too. She came back with a new role.
She's Princess Leia with the buns
with
on
the
her
buns
head.
on her head. Remember that? Remember her?
Yeah.
Oh, this one's tricky because she looked pretty good in this last one, and I'm not sure how old she was, and I don't remember when Star Wars came out, so I can't do the math backwards.
And there's a big age range of when she could have played that role.
I know. I know she was older than I thought she was in the beginning of this. So, oh boy, this is a tough one. I'm going older than I think I should. Okay, I got mine down. Zach, how about you?
I'm going younger than I think I should. 58.
Oh my gosh, I'm way over. I could have just taken myself out of this if you're right. I've had a perfect game up to this point.
52.
No!
What'd you say?
I said 71. Oh.
Becca's so happy with that.
She's 59.
Yes!
I did it, guys. I did it.
Good job, Becca.
Wow, okay.
And he was just gloating.
I know.
I know, that's so great.
In one person, you just evened up the score a little bit here. I'm still winning, right?
No, you're in last place.
Oh, I went from first to last. I'm in the best game ever to last.
You went from 0 years off to 12.
Oh!
Becca's at 2, I'm at 4, Betty's at 11.
That is horrible.
Wow.
This is a good day.
Oh, wow. One answer can kill you in this game. Dadgummit, I thought she was older. And I thought she looked good for 71,
But
too.
you get no points on this one because this is your
your
So
person.
you are
So- last.
All right,
if you
so
trick us.
here we go. Stephen Hawking, world-renowned physicist and intellectual guy. Stephen Hawking.
Is there anything else he's done?
He's been in a movie.
Which one?
I don't remember.
He's the guy. Do you ever see him in his wheelchair? Where he talks through a computer.
He talks through a computer.
Oh,
Him.
Yes, he
There we
was
go.
in a video with Paul Rudd.
Yes.
Rudd.
Yes, I don't.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get her to answer. Okay. So Stephen Hawking. I took a page
That's a
out of
good
Zach's
one,
book.
yeah.
I went with someone that is known so it fits the context of the game, but you don't think about them a lot. So, all right, let's start with Betty Rock. Where'd you end up?
88.
88. All right. What'd you say, Becca?
62.
62.
Oh,
Zach?
man, I said 68.
Oh, this
is not
might
gonna
have
be
been good. This might have been
is
good.
it? What is it?
Some of you are high, some of you are low. 74. He is 74
Wow.
years young, Mr. Hawking. Oh, Zach won.
I still won.
Zach won by 2 points.
Wow. Good
Boom.
job,
That is
Zach.
a good. Any day that Wally loses,
Yeah.
any day that Wally goes from first place and gloating to last place
We
is
all
a good
win.
day.
Yeah, I don't understand. This is not a team sport, but they treat it as one. It's like it's always them against me. All right, 877-91-WALLY is the number. That's 877-91-WALLY. So you got Stephen Hawking and Carrie Fisher. Those two you know. If you were listening to the first segment, you add the two people that we had there, their ages together, and if you can get that answer right, you can be our winner now. 877-91-WALLY is the number.
Why are we wasting our time with these old people anyway?
You just call me old.
This is the Wally Show, and it is famous ages now, Ashley, where the burden shifts to you. You need to tell us what the actual ages of Stephen Hawking, Queen Elizabeth, Johnny Erickson Tada, and Carrie Fisher all added up together equaled. So what do you think, Ashley?
I got 288.
288 is absolutely right. Nicely done. I am so impressed. Good job. Who on the list were you shocked by their age?
Probably Queen Elizabeth. I thought she was older.
Oh, older than 89. The one that shocked me and did me in was Carrie Fisher. I thought she was older too. Did you know Carrie Fisher was in her 50s?
No, not a Star Wars fan, so I didn't even follow her.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that one. That was the one. I had two perfect guesses. I was poised to win this thing, and then one guess completely took me
It was
out.
almost impossible to lose
And then
at that
you're
point.
dead last, right?
And then I'm not dead last. I actually came in second. These other knuckleheads would make you think that I got crushed and I was last, but I beat Betty and Becca, but they don't see it that way.
No, because Zach won.
Yeah.
It's the cost of trash talk.
It's not a team
and that's
sport.
completely legit. When you trash talk as much as you do, you that's just what comes with it.
Yeah.
People celebrate your loss.
I know, it's
If you
kind of
glo-
sad.
If you gloat when you're ahead, we're gonna gloat when you lose.
Yeah. Oh man, that was. I will say, I will go on record as saying that was the worst
Best.
loss.
Choke? Would you use the word choke?
I would use the word choke in Famous Ages history. That was abominable. Well, congratulations, Ashley. You did way better than I did. You're our big winner today.
Awesome.
Don't think of this as news. Think of it as...
We take you on a little trolley ride down Story Lane. You're having a good time. Boom, left turn. You don't know how it happened, but you like it.
It's the Wally Show News.
And Becca is going to get you caught up right now. What's happening?
Republicans have been vowing to shoot down whoever President Obama nominates as the next Supreme Court justice to fill Justice Scalia's vacancy. But if this new rumor is true, it could make things interesting. Obama's team is in the vetting process of possible replacements, and the rumor is that the front runner is actually the Republican governor of Nevada,
Interesting.
who's a former federal judge.
That's really funny if you're Obama and you hear these rumors. We're going to deny anybody you put up. All right, here's a Republican. Nuts. Because we've already said it. We already said we weren't going to pick them. I think that's actually, if he picks like a conservative Republican to replace Justice Scalia, I think on his way out, like that's actually a good thing versus introducing more chaos and more controversy. And then, because he's going to be gone and, within the year. So I think that's actually a stand-up thing to do.
And this candidate is actually more of a moderate Republican, but
Well,
still
yeah, I
I feel
figured.
like could maybe please both parties a little bit better.
Yeah.
So we'll see. With as loud as Trump is, we don't often hear from his wife, Melania, but she did an interview yesterday where she was asked if Donald's view on immigration were too much, which is interesting since she's an immigrant herself.
I went by system. I went by the law. And you should do that. You should not just say, okay, let me just stay here. And whatever happened, happens.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to that, like, because we have immigration processes, and that's what you need to abide by. But when you're, struggling in a country where you don't think you can feed your family and you think you can run across a border and make that happen, I think most of us would. Like, I would love to live in Europe, but I would not just go over there and like, oh, I'm going to figure this out, because I don't have to. There's not a need.
Right.
It's a want, not a need. And so I would follow the chain of command. But if you are in a situation where you're desperate and you can't afford these things and this, that, and the other, then you probably, I understand both sides of it.
Right.
It's a horrible situation on either side, but I do understand protecting, our borders as well.
Right.
I just don't know that the wall and making them pay for it's the best plan.
Yeah, but it's interesting that she agrees since she's been through that process. And finally, Facebook made some changes yesterday.
Facebook today rolled out a new thing called reactions. There's like, which we had. There's love. There's haha. There's wow. There's sad. And there's enough with the baby photos already.
How many of those of us will use that on Zach's?
Me?
Yeah,
I'll be the first.
I won't, because I love every
Ridiculous.
picture you
Anna
post
is the
of Anna.
best.
Isn't she?
Yeah,
Here, you want to see some pictures?
Oh my gosh, please.
No.
I don't know why Becca
I
hates
was
your
lying.
child.
I don't want to see him.
This is the Wally Show, a little something we like to call iPod Roulette, and Rebe from the Blog Report helps us out with that. She is the sole judge and jury. That's a lot of power.
I love it.
Yeah, and you've done a good job with it, because she also
No.
works with Zach, and she doesn't just give Zach the win.
Ever.
I have to be impartial.
Yeah, she does.
Impartial doesn't mean never vote for Zach.
She does a great job at that.
I just have to be honest about who has the best
Yeah,
music.
your iPod stinks, because the way this works is we each set our iPods to shuffle, hit play, and then whoever's has the better song, according to Rebe, wins that round, and we go up to the final. So we're going to start with Zach. Maybe your luck's going to change
Might as well
today.
get out early,
Hey,
so I don't get my hopes
I've
up.
picked you before. I would just like to point out
okay.
it
All right.
has happened.
So Zach is going to Africa, but when I sing the script, it's a problem.
I just feel sad because both of our selections were just depressing.
I know. This is
Falling
sad.
to pieces.
Yeah, but it's
piano
good.
music.
All right, so there you go. I'm
Yep.
assuming I got the win
Wally
on that.
totally won.
All right, for the win, there we go. That means the final round is going to be myself and one Miss Betty Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Battling it out, iPod roulette style. This is the Wally Show with iPod Roulette. We are down to the final round. I beat Becca in round 2. Betty beat Zach in round 1. So now it is head-to-head. Betty's iPod taking on mine. Song set to shuffle, and whatever song comes up, that's what gets played. And Reeby from the Blog Report is the sole judge. And I have to tell you, so far, you've done a great job today.
Wally.
You've made all the right decisions.
What if Becca had your song and she won? Would you still have said that?
I would have respected that, yes, because her song was so bad. So Betty Rock, final round. You're up first. Ladies first. What do you got?
Oh my gosh, this is the same guy.
Oh, as the same one that Becca had on hers?
Peter Bradley Adams. I told you I had his stuff.
Who is this guy?
I don't have much, but these dreams lead to nowhere.
I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I am so bored.
It's all right. I like it.
It's all right. Good. I like that. It's all right.
It's cute.
Yeah,
it's like,
cute.
okay.
Okay, that's not bad. All right, that is a guy with 3 names that we don't know who he is. He sold 2 albums, apparently, one to Becca and one to Betty, so that's good. All right, so now here comes my offering for...
Please be something bad.
I know, for iPod Roulette. Here we go. This is a great song. Oh my gosh, this is a great song.
What song is this?
It's called Helicopters by B&L.
This is only half a mile away from the attack.
No, Reeby, you don't get more time to consider this than that. I mean,
changed in a day.
Look at her face. She's not
It's
feeling
not doing
it.
much for me.
Yeah. Well, because you're not listening to the lyrics. The lyrics are about a guy that went, to see.
No, you don't.
if you have to explain it, you've lost.
Because you guys are not listening. You're not hearing.
We shouldn't have to listen to know that it's a great song.
I vote Betty.
You were doing so well today up to that point when you just totally kissed your musical integrity goodbye, Reemy.
Well, I stand by my decision.
Yep, all right. Well, congratulations, Lady Rock. You have bested me with a weird serial killer name guy that no one's ever heard of. Congratulations. Nicely done. You're the winner this week on iPod Roulette.
Woo!
This is the Wally Show, and you know Becca, who does our news on the show, and we just love her to death, and you think, man, that girl has got it all together. She's so mature and so wise, but you forget sometimes that she's still really young. Like, you're 24, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you're old beyond your years, and I always forget how young she is until she goes back in time on her Facebook page, and it's not like that long ago. And so what we've started now is Becca's millennial moment, because she is a millennial, and the things you were posting a few years ago, it's mind-boggling that is the same girl that I know today. And it's not a big jump in time.
It totally, yeah. It's embarrassing every day when I open Time Hop, which lets you look back at your old accounts and things that you posted and see the things that I was worried about 7 years ago
It's
or
awesome.
8 years ago. It's terrible.
Yeah, because I have her record these, like, and save them because I want to do this segment because it's fascinating to get inside the mind of young Becca.
And I just want to preface this by saying that when you're a teenager, everything that happens to you is the worst thing that's ever happened.
Oh, of course.
And I think all of us went through this phase, so let's not just jump to judge me.
Not all of us.
Of what I
Okay, let's
posted.
go with yours. What's your first one, your first time hop? What's the time frame?
Okay, so this is 7 years ago, so I was a senior in high school.
Oh, my God.
I know.
We were still doing the show here 7 years ago, me and Zach, and Betty, too.
So I started out the day by saying, is just about to lose her mind.
Oh, Becca
Yes,
is.
Becca is.
Look
'cause I
out,
had to
world.
Do it in that reference on Facebook. And so that was followed up by Becca hates school, hates her job, hates little towels. It's going to be a long day.
I could get school in your job. Like, I fully understand that. But why do you hate little towels?
Well, I've always been tall, so all I can think is that maybe we're out of the normal towels and I had to use the guest towel. That I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was enough to ruin my day.
I guess.
It made me lose my mind.
Well, when you're young, again, you feel everything.
Absolutely. And it gets even worse the further back I go. So 8 years ago, when I was a junior in high school, I have some great statuses from this week in history. 8 years ago, I posted, Becca is pretty sure that 2008 hates her.
You seem like a very negative person.
I was really melodramatic, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And it gets worse, too. Also, that same day, later in the day, 8 years ago, I posted some emo song lyrics.
Oh my gosh, that is the best.
Which is just...
That is the best.
But of course I changed it so it was about me. So I posted, Becca is screaming at the top of her lungs, pretending the echoes belong to someone I used to know.
Do you refer to yourself in third person on Facebook?
Back then, Facebook statuses, it was Becca blank. And so you had to fill in the verbiage from there.
So
that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're not quite that dramatic today. You're close some days.
No,
some days you like this whole.
You're close some days.
No. Like this whole Project Runway thing that we're doing with Betty, where we're making clothes for her. You came in today and you were so like just upset about this. I'm like, it's not a big deal. Just knock it out. It's okay.
It is to me.
Yeah, and like you could be posting about that today, and it would sound just like emo Becca from like your junior year.
There's probably a song about it. I'm gonna look it up and post it.
Probably so. All right. Well, there you go. That's Becca's millennial moment. It should make you understand your kids a little bit more, at least when they're saying things that you don't understand that seem really, really, really over dramatic, because that's just how kids are.
These are the least important stories out of Hollywood, but nonetheless entertaining. It's the least of these.
And Betty Rock has got it for you. What's going on?
Well, women are still struggling for equal pay in Hollywood, which is hard to believe in 2016. But for what it's worth, this year's highest paid Oscar nominee is Jennifer Lawrence.
How much is she worth in Hollywood
between
now?
June 2014 and June 2015, she has made $52 million.
Wow. But for her as a woman in Hollywood, she had to make 52 films. So no, actually,
I don't think that logic works.
Well, no, there's a thing in Hollywood where women had to crack the $20 million per movie thing. There was like a shelf, like a ceiling. Women had the hardest time making $20 million a movie for years, and guys seemed to get that all the time. And so there was a discrepancy. And then a few women broke that, and I think Jennifer Lawrence is one of those that's over that per movie now.
She's one that fought when the Sony hack happened, because emails were released that made it known that her male co-stars in movies made more than she did, and so I think she started fighting then.
Yeah, and it's good for her, and it raises everybody else in Hollywood, all the women, it raises their standards too.
Well, what's good about this is that she is against Oscar nominees like Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio, so that means she is making more than them when they come out at the $25 million mark. But speaking of Oscars and Leonardo DiCaprio, he has been nominated 4 times and still is without a win. But this year, he's nominated for the 5th time, so maybe this year he'll walk away.
He hasn't won yet. He's a Susan Lucci of the Oscars. That's crazy.
Who would think? Khloe Kardashian posted a gym selfie yesterday, but some of her followers noticed a weird bend in the door frame behind her, and it turns out that Khloe did a bad Photoshop job.
Boo, Khloe, boo!
She was trying to hide a very small, unnoticeable lump on her thigh. Yeah.
If I can't trust her selfies, then what else does she do that I can't trust?
What do I have to live for?
Yes, exactly, Millennial Becca.
Well, after being called out, she posted the original pic, but not without throwing some shade. She said, quote, "If only hatin' burns calories, how dope y'all would be. Too bad it doesn't. The petty movement ain't cute."
That's ridiculous. Okay. I would like to see both pictures to honestly see if it was worth it, like doing a Photoshop.
I looked at them, and it's barely noticeable.
And that, to me, tells me that that's an insecurity on her part. I have to look perfect. And so a minor blemish to her needs to be addressed. So that means, people got issues. I don't care how much money you make, how famous you are. It just goes to show that
doesn't make you secure.
Exactly. We all have insecurities.
And we all dream of what superpower we'd like to have if given the opportunity. And billionaire Bill Gates and his wife Melinda are no exception.
Bill said he'd like to have flight and invisibility, and Melinda said she'd like to have an iPhone.
That's awesome. This is the Wally Show, and the other day we were talking about something on the show that made me start thinking about the way that we perceive God and how he perceives us. Like, what do we think that God thinks about us? And it led to this concept or this conversation of, struggling with things that I believe or don't believe about my own faith. And I started going through things like, okay, well, what does this look like for me? And one of the things that I realized I struggle to believe inside of my faith or about God is that he can forgive me like he forgives other people. it's the weirdest thing. Like, I sit here every day doing this show, and I get emails from people every day, and, my life is this disaster, and I've made so many mistakes, and God can't love me and stuff. And my first response is, that's crazy. He loves you more than anything else in the world. He forgives you instantly when you ask. There's instant restoration. All you have to do is ask, and he's there for you. But then for me, when I mess up, I'm like, well, that same rule doesn't apply. Like, my conversation with God is like, yeah, I know that you do this for these people, and I'm so thankful that you do, and I realize that that's not our relationship, and I'm more of a mess, and I have to do more to make it right or whatever. And it's so erroneous, and it's not real, but it's in my head.
And I think that's the case for a lot of things within Christianity, within faith, is that it's so easy to tell somebody else the answers and to tell them the biblical truth.
Yep.
But then to accept it for yourself can be really difficult sometimes. I totally get that.
Yeah, so that's what I struggle to believe about God, is that he forgives me the same way he does everybody else. I feel there's a bigger burden on me to be better, or be more perfect and stuff. And it's erroneous, but it's what I feel. So I'm curious for you, and I want to talk with everybody on the show too, because I don't want to be the only one that's like a mess. So we're gonna all open up our souls here a little bit, all right? And so I'm curious for you and for the people on the show, what do you struggle to believe about God? So maybe you've been in church your whole life, and there's still things you're like, I just can't turn the corner on this. Or maybe you're new to even, thinking about faith, and you're like, man, I'd love to jump in and be all in, but this thing I don't believe about God. So I'd love to know what that is, and we'll kind of walk through this together. 877-91-WALLY is the number. If you have one of these, we'll take it now. 877-91-WALLY. This is the Wally Show, and we're talking about, the things that we struggle to believe about God. And I think sometimes, not to overly spiritualize this, but I think even the devil gets in our head and says, oh, well, God can't love you if you do this or that or the other, and it messes with us. So, Lindsay, what is something that you struggle to believe about God?
I have a hard time when really bad things are happening to children. I'm a teacher, so I see so many bad things happening to children, every day, and it's hard to understand the whys behind that.
And so do you sit there and wonder, all right, God, where are you? Why do you not prevent this kind of thing? Is that your thought?
There are times when I feel like that, and and then I question, like, why am I questioning him? Because, I believe in him and trust in him and have all the faith in the world.
See, I think there's a blessing and a curse that comes with free will. I don't think that God causes these bad things to happen to kids or anything like that. I think that, unfortunately, when you live in a place that has free will, people's choices have negative consequences on other people, and sadly sometimes kids are the ones that come into contact with that. And to me, it's, what does God do with that situation? How does he redeem that? How does he tell a story of hope, redemption, strength beyond what we feel is unimaginable? And I think that that's where healing for other people can come, when you realize, well, no one should have to go through this, but someone comes through it on the other side and can give glory to God, and that speaks volumes about the power of God in our lives.
That's where I struggle, the whys of that, But you're right, there is a flip side of there, God can bring good from everything.
This is the Wally Show, and you may have heard me talk about this before. Like, on the show, we don't ask you to do anything that we wouldn't do ourselves. So whether it's sponsoring kids, or helping build wells in Africa, or talking about the stuff in your life, we share our stuff just as much. And so, like, we're talking about those things that you struggle to believe about God. Like, mine was, I struggle to believe that God can forgive me as easily as he forgives other people, because I feel there's a higher burden on me to be better, and it's erroneous, but it's what's in my head. So who wants to go next? Show of hands. Who wants to bare their soul, rip open their chest and bare their soul? Betty Rock.
Okay. I find it hard to believe that God still wants to work on me.
Because you're perfect?
No. Oh,
Ta-da!
This is fun, guys.
It's a safe
and
room.
Becca.
Not a safe place at all.
Let's see if we can make yours fun.
No, what did you mean by that? Let me.
Oh, now you want to? Oh,
I do want to hear the real answer.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted that for the promo we're gonna run.
Okay. No, I just believe that I keep messing up all the time, and he still sees me as a work in progress, and he still wants to keep working on it.
See, that's crazy, because I don't see you as a mess at all. I see you as perfect. There you go.
Really? Because I would have gotten the total opposite just earlier,
are you
just
kidding
seconds
me?
ago.
Oh, no. I think you're amazing.
Huh.
But that's interesting that you have that thought. I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with as well. What about you, Burker?
I struggle to believe that God doesn't have his finger on the smite button 24/7.
Oh,
yeah.
That's interesting.
I kind of grew up with a legalistic perspective of God.
Yeah.
I kind of accepted Jesus as my savior because I was scared of hell.
Yes, me too. 20 times in high school.
Right. And so I think I still really struggle with that balance of legalism and just what I grew up learning and thinking about God and trying to get to know him for myself in a different light.
We've talked about this at our church. Like, if you see God as this cosmic cop who's just waiting to, punish you when you make a mistake, and that how that's not the case at all, that God is waiting there to forgive you. He doesn't want you to make the mistakes, but he's there to pick you up when you make them and carry you through them.
Right. And I still have this thing that I started as a little girl, and I still catch myself doing it where I'm like, I'm sorry, God, please forgive me. I didn't mean to. I'm so immediately trying to just justify it as much as I can because I'm afraid that he's going to punish me in this big way.
Right. Yeah, I get that. I actually really wrestled with that for a lot of years. Zach, what about you?
I would say I struggle to believe that God is just.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think when you hear that, you probably think I have a hard time that he doesn't punish people that deserve it.
Right.
But really, it's like I have a hard time thinking that he would punish someone forever. Like, as a loving God, that this whole eternal hell thing is possible. Like, that's really hard for me to understand. And I hope that somehow my understanding isn't correct, or somehow something happens in verse 2 that changes what the Bible tells us is going to happen.
Yeah, because that's what I grew up believing, and the Bible seems to be clear on that kind of stuff. But you're right. It's like, how, if there's all this forgiveness when we're a mess here, how is there not forgiveness somehow later on down the road or whatever?
Yeah, how is there not another, like, I know we've all had second and third and fourth and 100th chances, but, can there be one more?
Yeah, I've always wrestled with that same thing, because, you talk about God as this God of love, but then in the Bible it talks about how God is a just God too, and
that is the just thing to punish people for what they do, but
it's hard. It's hard to reconcile. I know it's hard to reconcile, and so that's why I guess it's like Becca talked about fire insurance, making sure you get saved to avoid hell. But see, that's how we position it so many times, and I think that's the wrong way to position it as well. That it isn't about avoiding hell; it's about going into a relationship with God, and those are the moments where I had to come to the realization where I'm so glad I'm not on his pay grade. And I have to make those decisions. I don't have to make those decisions, and I don't have to deal with that. I just have to do my part, and what he told me to do was love him and love other people. And sadly, I got to let him worry about the rest of that. Well, there you go. Those are good ones, guys. I appreciate that, and we're still taking yours as well right here on The Wally Show. This is The Wally Show, and no matter how long we've been in church or been a believer, sometimes we struggle with what we believe about God. So I'm curious, Michelle, what is that for you?
Well, I'm a single disabled mom to a child with high-functioning autism. And where I struggle is, it sounds weird, but I believe God has given everyone someone to take care of them, to help them, to love them, whether that be in a spouse or a community. Everyone gets it but me. And I feel like it's almost like he looks at me and expects me to just be able to do it all by myself.
Oh, it's like that Matthew West song. You must, what is Strong Enough? Yeah. You gave me something that, I don't think I could handle, but you must think I'm strong enough to handle it.
Yeah, I struggle with that immensely. And I've been single for quite a while now. My ex-husband moved away soon after the divorce, and that was 8 years ago. And my daughter is constantly praying for a stepdad, and I would love to have a husband. And I've learned so much during this time of being single. I've fallen in love with Jesus, and my daughter and I have been amazed with how he's provided for us and taken care of us. So I sometimes feel guilty even thinking I want more.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. When you have someone in your life, sometimes you fail to see God's power in your life. So this time where you haven't had that other person and you've, grown your relationship with God, I think is vital. And it's really important for, everybody at some point in time to have that moment. But I totally get wanting to move past that, be like, all right, Lord, I get it. We learned some things here. Now send me somebody to love.
Yes. I feel like I've learned the lesson. Can we go ahead and move on now? Can I get some help? Can I have someone to share my day with?
I know. Have you tried Christian Mingle?
I have not.
And maybe God's just waiting for you to make the first move. That's their ad, I think.
That's terrible.
I do think that's their slogan. This is the Wally Show, and we're talking about, what do you do when you struggle to believe something about God? Like, how do you process that? And maybe you're new to faith, or maybe you're not, but there are certain things that it's like, man, I got to get past this, but I don't know how. So, Christy, what is that for you?
Probably just that I deserve the healing, and that the healing that I've received is constant or will be continuous.
Oh, this sounds like a cancer situation.
Yes.
So you mentioned, hoping that it will continue, this health. So do you wrestle with the fact of, well, God, I know you healed me, and I'm so thankful for this, but I still fear that one time that I go to the doctor and I get told that it comes back. Like, is that something that you struggle with?
That is the biggest struggle, is with a doctor's visit or a strange pain. And then I have guilt that I doubt his healing and his blessing.
I love that one verse in the Bible where a guy had asked Jesus to heal his child. And, he basically just says, help me in my unbelief. He's like, I believe in you, but help me in my unbelief. And I think that's kind of where you're at. Like, you got, this miracle, and had your cancer taken away, and now you're good. But there's that little thing in your head that says it could always come back. And what if God isn't going to be there this time? And that's that disbelief part that keeps you from fully enjoying the miracle that you've been given.
Yes, exactly.
And I have absolutely no answer for that. Like, I wish I had a solution for you, but I don't. Other than when you're aware of it, then you can be mindful of it. Well, you know what? I'm just going to live in this moment with you right now and celebrate the fact that you beat one of the worst things in the world that affects so many people, and just enjoy that moment that you are cancer free.
And thank you very much. And thank you for letting me share my story.
All right, that's going to do it for the podcast. But as promised, here is the postcast. And one of the things we wanted to talk about was something actually that Zach brought up in the things that you wrestle with in believing about God, even though you've been a believer for a lot of years. Like, Zach, you probably got saved as a young kid, right?
Yeah, I was about 4.
Oh my gosh, does that count at 4? Or were you
I don't know. I did it again at 6, 8,
Okay.
12, 13,
Okay.
14, and 16.
Good, then you did it right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I did the same thing. Like, my school had something called Spiritual Emphasis Week, and so once a year they would have a week where they just scared the bejesus out of you. And they always had the biggest fire and brimstone preacher ever come in and tell you stories about hell, and then you'd watch the Left Behind series. And so, I got saved every year for about 12 years of my life. And but I get it. But your dad was a pastor, and so you grew up with that being an integral part of your life. But your thing that you brought up, refresh people, because I don't want to say it the wrong way from our segment during the podcast about what you struggled with.
That I have a hard time believing sometimes that God is just, and
Yes.
that he actually would carry out an eternal punishment.
Yeah, and that's something that we've been taught and told, and I've believed in, and this, that, and the other, but I have wrestled with that same question for a long time, going, why does there have to be, you can design anything, he designed everything we see, so why was it necessary to design a system that has no chance for restoration, like we have here on earth, that it is eternal punishment and damnation? Why did that have to be the thing? Did it have to be that to justify the sacrifice? I don't know. But so I've wondered that same thing, and I know that's a problem for a lot of people coming to faith when we present Jesus as this loving God who just wants to take care of you and love on you, and then when they start hearing about hell at church, and they go, how does that factor in? What about that? And you just go, oh, well, you're good then. Don't worry about it. You're saved. You're fine. Don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about that. But then you still have the question.
Mm-hmm. And I think where I finally landed is that's the best understanding I have right now from the Bible, is that eternal hell and damnation exists, and that should motivate us to, spread the word. But I really hope our understanding is wrong, because there's a lot of things, even if the Old Testament, the Jews had a lot of theories about God, and they knew exactly what the Messiah was going to look like. And those are the best scholars that poured their life into understanding everything they could about who God was and the prophecies. But then Jesus came and he was totally different than that. And so I think even our best made guesses of what the scriptures say about things, God has a way of being well, you're kind of right, but you missed this whole big part. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm glad we don't have to make all those decisions, honestly. we talked about this in the podcast where it's like, all right, you love God and love people, and so that's what we're charged to do. But it is one of those things where when you stop and you just kind of ponder this, it's a hard thing to reconcile. Like the example I've always struggled with is a Jewish rabbi who has dedicated his life to serving God and has, reads the Torah and the Bible and everything, like way more than, it's more devout than I'll ever be. And then to think that because this person didn't accept Jesus, that somehow they're going to go to hell for the rest of their lives. That's a hard thing for me to reconcile, because in this guy's mind as a rabbi, he stayed true to God. Whereas in their mind, I didn't get sidetracked by a good man who was not the Messiah because they don't see him as the Messiah. So in their mind, they've stayed the course, And if you take the Bible literally, they haven't accepted Jesus as the Savior, and so then that brings on hell and damnation and all that stuff. It's a hard thing to wrestle with.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have humility to say what you think it might be, but that I just don't know. Like, God didn't task us with determining everyone's eternal salvation,
right.
and we can. It's important for us to know what we believe and to have firm beliefs, but we also need to have a little humility about the mysteries of God and be open to learning and
Yeah, that's one of those things, like judging people's salvation. Like, I never judge because, you had some star that you look at and you see them living this life. You go, oh, they're such a bad person. It's like you didn't know if they got saved when they were 4 years old, at a vacation Bible school. You can't judge salvation and things like that. But looking at the eternal, questions and some of those big things where I still wrestle with those, but like you're saying, there's humility in that where you have to accept the fact that you don't know the mind of God and you don't know what's fair and you don't know what's right and you don't know what's just, because all of that's funneled through our filter, which is completely different than God's filter on that kind of stuff. And so maybe the damnation thing is like the universal justice that has to happen, whereas we think, differently.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to heaven and learn that absolutely is what it had to be, and that
Right.
it was the most fair, just way for it to be set up, and that, who knows?
Like, I have these ponderings, but like I would never put these forth as... I put them more in the hope category, like you going, I hope we've misunderstood something. I hope it works differently. But I would never put it in the category of, I feel this, and so I think this is right. This is how God really works, because we don't know his mind.
That's a real danger, when people just trust their heart and they get to make up their own religion.
Yeah, because like I've always hoped that somehow in that moment before you die, because you have those moments in your life where it feels like time stands still and your life flashes before your eyes and it's at a split second. I've always hoped that is where God one last time reveals himself to everybody and is like, all right, I'm here. And time stands still for them and they're confronted with God in this personal way that they hadn't realized before. And that's their last shot, and because something like that would then let me justify heaven and hell more is if you were confronted with the face of God now and you still went, I don't want you. Then you go, all right, you get it. you deserve that at this point.
Yeah, and I think having that hope is great. I think that's a great hope. I think making it a firm belief is dangerous.
Right.
I also think not having that hope, like if you have that attitude of, well, those people deserve to burn in hell, and you have no compassion or heart for the lost, that's a danger side too.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that was deep.
I know. I was like, I'm staying out of this because I'm not sure exactly where I land. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's something that I think is worth wrestling over for sure. But there's just so many of those mysteries. There's so many things that I like Zach was saying. I think we're going to get to heaven and find out, oh, we totally missed a big chunk of this, and I don't know what those things are and what they look like.
Well, I think a lot of that too is we're going to get to heaven and we're going to think how awesome we did things.
Oh, yeah.
And God's going to be like, you're an idiot. Honestly, you really thought that was important. You really thought that was the debate you needed to be having. You really think that was the thing you needed to picket, instead of loving people. Okay, nice job.
Yeah, I think we'll both be amazed at how much worse we are than we think, and amazed at like when we learn how much more he loves us than we could imagine.
Yeah, and that how much he loves the people we think are unlovable.
Right.
When we see some people in heaven going, oh, dude, really? How did you get here and you're not living next to me for eternity, are you? Because your music's too loud. I couldn't stand you on earth.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. That's how I see it. Oh, that's the other thing we were talking about, too. Like, we were talking about, like, we have a lot of these conversations off the air and stuff, and so the podcast is the best place for them, because, like, we couldn't have this conversation on the air. It's just too long. But, like, the concept of hell being too long, we're like, man, that's just brutal. But then, like, heaven being eternity, it seems like a long time, too, to be playing a harp.
I know. I have a hard time, like, if we go from 3 songs into 4 songs and then 5 songs during church.
Yeah.
I know, it's bad. I'm not saying it's
I don't think it's
going
to be that way.
But, I think that once we're confronted with the presence of God, that
Right.
it's not going to be like, oh, I have to stand in church. It's going to be totally different. And it's just another thing that's hard to wrap our brains around is our little
I
peon
hope so,
human
because
minds.
3 songs and I'm out. Like, that's like when you went to Black Church the other week and you left early. Like, that's heaven. Heaven is Black Church, which is awesome, you know, 'cause that's how it should be.
Well, and even if you think about the best thing on earth that you could, like, say a Super Bowl party, maybe that's your favorite time of year. Like, even that you couldn't imagine stretching on for an entire year even. But then if you think about, so the best thing we have to think of as a frame of reference for heaven is still not something we'd want to do forever. And I think this just shows how little we can comprehend what heaven is.
Yeah.
But
It's so
the idea
vast.
of anything forever and ever and ever, like, it makes me dizzy.
Yeah, the only thing that I would enjoy listening to forever and ever and ever is the sound of my own voice.
We know.
Heaven for you is going to be your podcast on loop.
Yes.
I know. Why is this podcast still going? Let's end it.
And which for some people it would be hell.
Yes.
Like, see, that's awesome.
You're going to be sitting next to a guy in hell and you're in heaven.
Maybe that's how God's designed this whole thing. It's just the stuff that annoys you for eternity is hell, and the stuff you love.
I feel like this is borderline.
We're getting theologically dangerous here.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the podcast, precast, postcast, and all the shenanigans today.